Welcome to the LL Sports Update Show, where we're going to look ahead to Week 3 in football and other sports. But before we do that, he's Jeff Reinhart, I'm John Walk. We're going to look back at Week 2 in LNP's Game of the Week on the gridiron. It was between CV and Solanco. CV, a 55-54 winner in overtime. Jeff, you were there covering that game. Tell us what happened.
Not a lot of defense and a whole lot of points. Were you surprised for the overtime coin toss that Solanco played offense first and not defense?
Well, that, and I don't know the whole ruling as far as Jose Barbone blocking that kick going up on the back of a teammate. I don't know the whole rules there. That was a whole controversy that we heard from some parents.
A little bit. He might have dove at the end. But speaking of Jose Barbone, he was amazing, was he not?
Yeah.
7 catches, 2 for touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. There's so many stats in this game, I don't know where to start. Tanner Schwilk, 6 touchdown passes for CB, tied the single-game program record.
The only other one to do that?
Jordan Steffi,
right.
Who went on to play at Maryland, great guy. Stead had an 80-yard touchdown catch. Michael Lefevre had the winning touchdown catch in overtime. He had 8 catches. Kind of overlooked here in this because CB wins it late. Joel McGuire, the quarterback for Solanco, was unbelievable. 202 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. 5 of them were 1-yard dives, but 6 touchdowns for him. Nick Yanitz had over 100 yards rushing. Alec McDonald had over 100 yards rushing. It was crazy to keep up with. Unbelievable game. Bucks pull it out 55-54, so they go to 2-0. Great start for them. The other game that caught our attention with a ton of points, Warwick 69, Garden Spot 42. Tell us about that one.
Right, and that was a back and forth game, especially in the first half. I mean, at the end, these teams combined for 111 points, over 1,100 yards. I don't know, maybe I wasn't there, so a difference maker possibly. Garden Spot quarterback Cam Roth goes down, doesn't play at all in the second half. He is expected to play this Friday. However, Warwick, good win for them in terms of bouncing back after that Week 1 loss to Mannheim Central. However, if you go back over the last 6 quarters, I believe I have Warwick scoring 89 points. That's an average of like 2 touchdowns per quarter over the last 6 quarters. So they are absolutely rolling, and they're going to take that momentum into Ephrata in the George Mayle Trophy game here coming up this week. Speaking of coming up this week, our Week 3 LNP Game of the Week, Governor Mifflin 2-1 going to Mannheim Township 2-0. Blue Streaks are off to a hot start. Governor Mifflin, possibly, should be a playoff team there. I mean, they coming off that loss to Cocalico last week. Tell us about what happened with them.
They gave up a bunch of rushing yards against Cocalico. We were really looking forward to that game because Mifflin got off to that great start, beat West York, and then they beat Wilson, which is a great win, 21-14. So we thought that Cocalico game might be great. Cocalico goes out, rushes for like 400 yards, and they beat Mifflin. So Mifflin's probably a little feisty here this week coming to Township. They have Isaac Ruas, really good fullback. Keep an eye on him. Cocalico tied him up. He only had 37 rushing yards last week. That's impressive. Cam Wolf, top-ranked passer in Berks, passed for 435 yards and 6 touchdowns already. So Mifflin can go through the air, and they're that veer kind of punish you on the ground kind of team. So we've seen really good Mifflin beating Wilson. We've seen Mifflin losing to Cocalico. What's Township thinking for this game?
Right, and it's interesting you say Township. You're going to be playing a Governor Mifflin team that's going to be pumped up coming off a loss because we were out at their Township practice on Tuesday, and the very first thing that Coach Mark Evans was saying to his squad as they were stretching, hey, Governor Mifflin, they're going to be amped up after that loss. They're going to come out and get that bad taste out of their mouth. Other things that Coach Mark Evans stood out to me anyway, talking about their defense anyway. We all know about the Mannheim Township offense with the Harvard quarterback Luke Emge, the scat back Grayson Saladay, and wide receiver Reese Bender. If you go back over their numbers, though, last week I think they had 5 players with at least 5 carries in the run game. They had 7 players with at least 1 catch. So they like to distribute the ball. But we know about that offense. The other thing that stands out, Mannheim Township defense has only given up 14 points so far in the first 2 weeks. But if you go and look over their numbers on paper, it's not fantastic. They still don't have a takeaway, no fumble recovers, no interceptions, and they only have 1 sack. And asking Coach about that, I'm like, what's the deal there? He said, they're just playing really good defensive assignment football, and they're doing so with a relatively young squad, but a lot of those guys have been playing since they were freshmen, so they are experienced. The leading tackler is free safety Cam Hurst. And the reason being, Coach, I was asking him about that. Do you like having your free safety as your leading tackler?
Yeah.
So he grabs my notebook and starts talking about, well, if you look at our 3-5 scat back or 3-5 defensive stack set, defensive linemen take the offensive linemen, their linebackers take whatever blockers are left, whether that be offensive linemen or the blocking backs, and free safety is there to clean up. So as a result, Cam Hurst, 15 tackles through 2 weeks as our leading tackler. With that being said, LNP's own reporter Irene Snyder caught up with Cam Hurst and Coach Mark Evans at practice on Tuesday. Irene, take it away.
So, Coach, what concerns you about Governor Mifflin's offense?
Well, Governor Mifflin's offense is a ground and pound. They're going to grind us and try to get that 3 yards in a cloud of dust mentality. They're patient, and then they'll lull you to sleep, and then they're going to try to throw some trick plays at you. But ultimately, it's just their physicality, and they're going to really try to force us to play assignment football. And so we have to be perfect in our assignments.
Your defense has done really well so far this season, so why do you think that is?
I think we've matched really well as a team. Our defensive line has been really good up front, so forcing teams to pass, and our whole secondary has been shutting it down, so we've been doing pretty well.
All right, how do you feel about Friday's game?
I'm pretty psyched. I wish Friday was here already. We should be ready to go, and hopefully it's going to be a good game, so everyone should come out and have fun.
Okay, Irene, thank you for that report. We appreciate it. Switching here, let's switch gears. Week 3, a couple more games we have circled and we really like. First up, the Lampeter Bowl, little backyard rivalry game. Lampeter-Strasburg, which is West Lampeter, goes over to Conestoga Valley, which is East Lampeter. In a series that started in 2010 for a trophy, CV won the first one, but LS has won the last 6 in a row. So they've dominated this series as of late. Both teams are 2-0. Tell us about LS.
Right, and LS we saw last week, 2 weeks ago they had that big win at Eastern New York by like 30-some points. Week 2 they go play Penn Manor, back and forth game. They end up getting the game-winning score with about 10 minutes left. Credit to running back Mark Wilson. He had a 54-yard gainer at that point and then got it up to, within the 10-yard line, whatever it was. And then Alex Knapp, receiver, caught a pass from Todd Shelley, the quarterback, for the go-ahead score, 25-21 final score for LS there. So both of these teams off to a 2-0 start. The things to watch here, this might end up being a very high-scoring game, just for the fact that Shelley was a 2,000-yard passer last season, and Ellis is averaging 31 points a game through the first 2 weeks, and we saw Conestoga Valley give up, 48 points in regulation to Solanco last week. Yep. So it could be a high-scoring game. What do you think about the Buckskins?
Love their offense, but they have to stop somebody. You're right about a lot of points. I think this was 35-26 last year. LS won over at LS. So yeah, it could be some points. We've talked about Jose Barbone a lot here. I love these numbers. He has 19 touches in 2 games, not including defense where he has a couple interceptions already, but in offensive situations he has 19 touches. He has 7 touchdowns.
Does that not include the return game?
Well, that includes returns where he can actually score and do something. 5 touchdown catches, a punt return for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, and just a tick under 500 all-purpose yards already in 8 quarters. He's amazing. He's been great. Might be the league MVP through 2 weeks. He's phenomenal. LS has to find a way to curtail Mr. Barbone.
Yeah, and the other game that we wanted to talk about, Upper Perkiomen at Cocalico. The Eagles are off to a hot start. We haven't talked much about them, so we wanted to mention them here.
They've been great. Their rushing attack has been awesome. Their veer has been great. Noah Palm, the sophomore quarterback who we thought back in August, look out for this kid. He's been fantastic, over 300 rushing yards, 4 for 4 passing. So he's clicked on every pass here so far. Brandon Brubaker's been great, 150 yards and 4 touchdowns last week against Mifflin. Speaks a lot to the O-line. We knew they lost Brady Maxwell coming back, but they had some other vets coming back on the line, including Ben Fromm, who's really good and a kid to keep an eye on. So just a tick under 1,000 rushing yards already in 2 weeks, which is amazing. 2 really good wins, 69 points against Redland in week 1. And then beat a really good Mifflin team in week 2. They know Central's out there. It's week 5. Let's not jinx anybody just yet. That's not certain.
Week 4.
I know, that's a big game. So they have some really big games coming up. So I think they want to keep the Mo going here against Upper Perk, keep the ground game going, stay healthy, knowing that Section 2 gauntlet is coming.
Right, in other games, we talked about the high school football scene. Now we move over to the Penn State football scene where the Nittany Lions are set to host Georgia State. 7:30 kickoff on Saturday night. To talk about that, we throw it to LNP's own Mike Gross.
Penn State plays Georgia State on Saturday at Beaver Stadium. It's a night game, 7:30 start, and Penn State will try to go to 3-0 on the year, and they should do so pretty comfortably. Georgia State is a 38.5-point underdog. Penn State trying to stay healthy and get ready for conference play as they play the Panthers of Georgia State on Saturday, and I'm Mike Gross for Lancaster Online.
Okay, Mike, thank you for that report. Georgia State, good looking.
Wow.
Wow.
Penn State can pull out that one.
Wow. 38-point favorites. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, friendly reminder, our Week 2 LF Football Player of the Week was Jordan Cruz from Warwick. As mentioned, Warwick in that crazy game beats Garden Spot 69-42. Jordan was great defensively, had 2 pick sixes, usually plays safety because of an injury and some defensive problems. They switched him to linebacker in the game, during the game, never played linebacker in his life. Ends up getting 2 pick sixes in the second half, took 2 interceptions back to the house. So we were really impressed with his performance. So Jordan Cruz, Player of the Week. Make sure you check out our full interview with Jordan on Lancaster Online. That post is still up there for you to check out. Congratulations, Mr. Cruz. Lastly, this week, we have Glory Days.
Yeah, it's Glory Days segment time. Guys, we did not receive any submissions from you, so I took the power under my control and found one from my own family. I'll point that out in a second. You're probably looking at the 1988 McCaskey football team, the Section 1 champs that year. They were 10-0 in the regular season, 11-1 overall. If you look closely in the bottom left of your screen, number 73, that is my uncle of the same name, John Walk. I don't know why we're named the same. You can ask my parents that. I also wanted to mention, if you look in the front row a little bit to your right, number 61 is Kenny Myers. He is a Twitter follower of mine, but he's also the owner of Kegel's Produce, so I wanted to give him a shout out. Now, I highly encourage you guys, please submit your photos. It could be from a year ago. It could be from 20, 30 years ago. If you have something that's interesting, if you're watching this on your cell phone or a mobile tablet, put it down, go look at a scrapbook, find an old picture, whether it be you or your parents playing sports from many years ago, send it to us right here, sports@lnpnews.com, with your name, the team, what year it was, whatever other information that you want to share with us, and we will share it right here. Now, that'll do it for me. He's Jeff Reinhart. I'm John Walk. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys next week.